Next at 10, it's a green gold rush. So profitable, now there's talk of moving from medical marijuana to no limits. Two Works View investigates the path that other states are already taking. I'm Carol Larson. You're watching Two Works for You at 10. In less than 3 years, the Sooner State built the most medical marijuana dispensaries in the nation. Two Works for You investigates and found businesses and the government are seeing significant profits, nearly $1 billion in cannabis sales. A green gold rush, making the prospect of becoming the 17th fully legal cannabis state enticing to those in the bud business. Our Mason MAURO explains why it could be here sooner than you think.
It's here. And it's in so much of the rest of the United States, it was bound to happen eventually.
Closing on $1 billion in the bank, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority licenses over 370,000 users. That's just from medical cannabis use.
I had no idea. I don't think anybody could have foreseen the success of the program.
Voters approved cannabis for medicinal sale and consumption in 2018. State legislators now inking a follow-up to State Question 788.
It at least starts a conversation.
State Representative Scott FETGATTER of Okmulgee hopped aboard the marijuana train after 788 passed. His self-acknowledged traditional values didn't align with the growth of marijuana in his red district, but it turns out his constituents don't agree.
I felt like it'd be a little hypocritical if I didn't give the industry the proper attention that it needed to be successful simply because of the fact that I didn't like the product that they sold.
So we take our raw cranberry seed
Now
oil.
Chip Paul, a medical marijuana activist who helps Oklahoma license holders, calls FETGATTER his point man in the state's House of Representatives. Well, the point man just penned 2 more medical marijuana bills passed by a House majority last week.
I started seeing, people who had real medical conditions, that this was changing their lives.
One of the minority nay votes against FETGATTER's House bills is Representative Stan May of Broken Arrow. He tells Two Works for You these medical licensing bills are just the lead up to other legislation.
Recreational will probably happen also. I can't see enough opposition to it.
You're just not going to stop anybody from smoking or utilizing marijuana in whatever capacity they may want. And so you might as well regulated.
The state's medical marijuana market is generating nearly $195 million in tax revenue, according to the OMMA. In January alone, almost $12 million in tax money, which is 6% of the total marijuana tax revenue generated since 2018.
We will absolutely have the best medical marijuana program in the country.
Paul credits a lack of restrictions on commercial licenses and low-cost licensing fees.
If we went to a rec program, I could see that growing to, $2 to $3 billion increase.
FETGATTER filed an adult-use recreational bill for consideration this legislative session. It puts a 15% excise tax plus sales tax on recreational cannabis purchases, while medical sales stay at 7% excise tax. He hopes to put it before Oklahoma voters in the 2022 midterm elections, but not everyone wants it on a ballot. Representative RANDLEMAN of Eufaula is a clinical doctor and child psychologist. He says medical marijuana eases anxiety and ADHD symptoms in some of his clients, but worries cannabis abuse can be detrimental to youth.
You have a tendency to overuse it. It can be more damaging.
Findings from a Colorado Department of Public Safety report show higher marijuana use in children and teens after the state fully legalized cannabis in 2012. The report also shows possible marijuana-related hospitalizations increased by almost 60%. RANDLEMAN says the plant is already slipping into kids' hands and cautions an abundance of bud brings along dangerous risk.
If we don't look at it the right way, I think that will kind of explode in a manner that's going to cause more problems within the family.
But the perception of great health risk from marijuana use is actually trending down in the Rocky Mountain state.
And points of contention like driving impaired caused by cannabis are practically unchanged, according to the study. But even the thought of a driver getting behind the wheel with THC in their system is enough to scare some off the road to recreational.
Right now, we don't have a reliable, economical way to test the level of THC that's affecting you as a person.
You have a tendency to not know where you are with it as far as the toxicability of it.
They have a hard time telling you whether you're inebriated or not.
But FETGATTER tells Two Works for You the pharmaceutical benefits and significant revenue stream are the driving force behind his cannabis caravan. He says potential health and safety hazards can be hashed out in the bill's final draft.
The one thing legislators agree on in the marijuana industry is the black market. FETGATTER told me, quote, "I want to be the first state in the union to figure out how to extinguish the black market." He hopes to have that accomplished in the next year. Mason MAURO, Two Works for You.